Hello Year 7, Mr. Graham again here. Okay, so in our first video we set up the seats and we set up the red carpet for our film stars and we set up the different types of ticket we're going to have: adult, children and pets. So the purpose of this video is to show you the formula, and the formula excuse me while I cough, is called Countif. Now what Countif is used for is exactly how the words sound. Count something if it matches what you say it should match. Okay? So to do this formula, I'm going to click first in the adult column and I'm going to put in equals Countif. There we go, Countif. And then I'm going to hold the shift button down and put an open bracket. And you'll notice when I do that, I get a little message down here and it says Countif range criteria. Now when you see these little messages, they're actually telling you how the formula works and what you have to do. In this case it's saying range in bold. That means I have to do the range first. Now my range is going to be all the seats in the first row that I want to be able to use if I need to count. Okay? And in this case that is going to be everything from B2 all the way to S2, because that's all my seats on the first row. So that's my range. And those two little dots next between the different cells between B2 and S2 actually means 2. So it's saying from B2 to S2. Just easier and quicker than having to write loads of other stuff to say that. Then after the word range, if you look really, really closely, it's a little bit small, but you'll see a little comma. Yes, that's actually telling you that you have to put in a comma. So if I put in a comma, watch what happens. You'll see that the bold writing changes. There you go. So you see the bold writing now says criteria. And what criteria means is what do you want to count? Okay? In this range, what do you want to count? And we want to count every time we give an adult a seat. Now, we could program it to say, if we type the word adult, count it. But actually, that takes a lot longer than if we use a code. And a great code for adult is simply the letter A. So what we do is we put in speech marks. Whoops, I've configured my computer to UK, so that shouldn't have happened. Let me try it again. There we go. So we put in a speech mark, the A, because we want to count the A, and it doesn't matter if you put a capital or a small a, it will still do it. And then I'm going to put another speech mark. There we go. And finally, I close the bracket. So what I've done basically is I've said count if somewhere in this range you see an A. So when I press enter, then this number should appear with how many A's there are in the first row. So let's see what happens. 0. Well, that makes sense because I haven't put in any A's in the seats yet, have I? But let's say we have sold a couple of tickets and a couple of people have arrived and they're both adults. Well, A for adult. Watch what happens when I click away from the box. There you go. You see over here it's now said 1 because it's counted 1A. I'll put in another adult. There we go. And I'll click away. 2. So you see that it actually is counting every time I put an A. Whereas if I put in something random different, like say Paris Hilton's dog, P for pet, it doesn't count it because it hasn't been programmed to count P yet. But we'll do that in a minute. And for the next one on the first row, we do exactly the same thing as we just did, except we use C where we used A. So equals Countif. There we go. Bracket, select the range, it's still the first row because we haven't done the count for the children yet, so first row is selected, comma, and then we put C in speech marks. There we go. Close the bracket, press enter. 0, because we haven't got any children. Well, there's Brad. We'll imagine now that these are Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie, so we need to basically fill this with children. So C, 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 and I don't know how many children they have actually, but let's just imagine they have that many. And as you can see, it counts them. So it tells us that when we sold Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie tickets, we have 2 adults, and when we put all their children in, we have 6 children. Cool. So the only one left to do is pets. I'm going to let you do that yourselves when you've watched this video as a practice, okay? But what I also want to teach you is how to do formulas quickly, okay? Because there is a way of copying the formula so that you don't have to write it out for every single line, okay? And to do that, you hold the mouse over the little black square like that, and it turns to a black cross. Hold the left mouse button down and drag down, and you will see lots of zeros appear, okay? And if you actually look at the formula, here we said B2 to S2, which is the first row, and this one says B3 to S3, which of course is the second row, because if that's row 2, that has to be row 3. So clearly that's copied the formula down. So, you now know how to put in a Countif formula. You now know how to copy that formula down. Here is what I want you to do. I want you to put in a formula for pets and copy it down to here, okay, just to the end of this particular row. Then I want you to put in the formula manually again here for adults, children and pets, and copy the formula down. So that should take you, including building this, which you saw in the first video, I think a fair amount of time to get that done is 25 minutes. So the time starts now.